Okay, this is the 2024 Buffalo Bayou Zoom meeting for the amateur radio and professional radio community. WA5LAE. I'm the COM lead, the COML. My call sign will be COM1. And we're just going to go over all the information. This is being obviously recorded because those of you that could not make it here on Friday night at short notice, you will be able to watch this at your leisure over the next few days. So what I had just said was the Google Docs drive that I sent out to everybody that signed up. The link will take you to a Google Drive that has a live assignment sheet because we're changing that on a regular basis. Information on how to connect your phone to TrackR so we know where you are on the field. The entire comms package, which we're going to go over next. The stickers for 2024, the boat colors, that's also in the comms package. You don't have to look at that. And the ICS 205 is also in the comms package. So you don't really have to worry about that. So we are going to start out by first off welcoming everybody and thanking you all for joining us here today. I do appreciate all your help. We're going to have a good event this year. And the first thing I'd like to go over is the comms package from A to Z. And believe it or not, that little 50-second annual logo there, I did not know existed until 4:30 p.m. yesterday afternoon. We had the one and only committee meeting yesterday with the race director, the coordinator, Mark Janzer, the sweep boat person, Matt Woodruff, and the other two gentlemen from Texar, and all of us. It was the first and only time we've had an in-together meeting. So I got a lot of information yesterday that I didn't have, and that's why I had to wait this long to get this meeting together. In any case, we go off a week from tomorrow, hopefully. Supposedly, the weather will be a lot better than it was last year. They have approximately 350 people signed up so far. They're expecting a few more. It's a little off from the last couple of years. We don't ask those questions. We don't know why. I guess people have their motivations for coming or not coming. Last year, it was kind of different because we did a completely different course because we couldn't use the old starting line. So we were an out and back. And I think that angered a lot of people. So in any case, first page here is communication team instructions. I'm just going to summarize it because you could basically read it. We will not be meeting at Denny's or Central Location. We used to have breakfast every year at like 5 o'clock in the morning. We've gotten to the point where it's very difficult to do that because we use so much equipment at the Allen's Landing finish line that we have to pretty much have the trailer and everything start setting up and be there before 5 o'clock in the morning. And it takes at least 4, 5, 6 people to set everything up. So it's very difficult for us to be able to meet for breakfast and everything. So we're going to do something different this year. Now, as far as the P25 radios, for those of you that aren't aware, even though most of us, if not all of us, are ham radio operators, we primarily do not use ham radio during the event. We will be distributing Motorola. Who is not muted that I'm echoing now? Oh, well, whoever. Anyway, I realized after speaking to John, this is a 14-mile course, and for him to have to go back and forth multiple times to deliver and pick up radios is just not time or cost effective, because I really do need John around because he's kind of the tech guy. If we have an antenna issue or something goes wrong that we need a extra hand near the command post, and I don't want to drive John crazy. So as far as distribution is concerned, I invite and ask that anybody that is able to, please let me know that you will be coming to Allen's Landing before the race between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock, 5 to 6 o'clock in the morning to join us. We will have donuts and coffee, hopefully. And we will distribute the radios, and John will be teaching everybody how to use them. If somebody at Voss or farther, who in the beginning of the race aren't able to make it all the way to Allen's Landing for whatever reason, hopefully whoever's at Woodway will be kind enough to meet them at Woodway and distribute it to them. But the specifics of that, we're going to have to work out during the week and in coordination with John. As far as getting the radios back, if you look on the assignment sheet, which we'll go over as well, you'll see I've given specific instructions as we go from the start line to the finish line for where to bring your radios. I do not expect everybody to drive all the way to Allen's Landing on a Saturday afternoon. There are no other city events that I'm aware of going on, but we never know. Susan Coleman hit us with something a few years back, and half the streets were blocked off. So I'd like to do a little hopscotching with the radios. They do cost several $1,000s each. We are responsible for them, and we do need to get them all back intact. They're not difficult to operate. Basically the same exact radios we've been using for the last 3 years. There are 3 channels that we'll be using, and we'll talk about that when we get to the 205. So as I said, John Sawyer, KD5U, who's with us, he's the communications technician. He's in charge of the radios. He's in charge of showing you how to work them. Not sure yet whether all 3 talk groups will be on the same zone. They probably will not, but I do know that talk groups 1 and 2, which is primarily what most of you will be using, or 1 anyway, 1 and 2, SP1 are both on the same zone, so you shouldn't have to change zones. And once again, that's the 205. And at the end, I've already spoken to a couple people who are more than happy to get radios from people before them and deliver them to the next spot, and then they will hopscotch. And then Dale, Daryl Kirk has offered to be kind enough to come back to the finish line afterwards once he's got the radios and deliver them to John. So please be careful with them. So that thing where it says, John will be delivering your swag, lunch tickets, and P25 radios. He will not be coming to everybody's spot. It's just not a viable option. Amina, who is going to be operating with the director, is going to be at the start-finish line. So technically, the person at Voss can meet her there, and she can give, I believe it is Scott, I think, is at Voss. I think Scott is at Voss. Scott Johnson, give me a thumbs up if you're at Voss. There you go. Camera's a little low. It's kind of hard to see it. Just on the top of your head, but I did see a thumbs up. So Amina has to be down there so she can basically deliver that radio. Jason, did you have a question? No? So your hand was sticking up. Let me just check chat here in case there's something.
Nah, it was an accident. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No problem. You're always welcome to wave. All right. So in any case, no breakfast. It's just not a viable option. If you want coffee, donuts, breakfast, you're all welcome to come to Allen's Landing at 5 o'clock. The roads are empty. It's very easy to get to. It is behind with the old spaghetti factory, which is now Mulcahy's. McIntyre's, right at Allen's Landing Park. You can't miss us. We'll be all the way down in the bottom parking lot with the command post and my truck and a bunch of people with funny yellow vests. And everybody's welcome to join us for coffee, donuts, and to help us set up and shoot the breeze. And if anybody has any questions. So now, once again, the next line after your location is released, you can come up to Allen's Landing for lunch, or John will pick up the radios as they leapfrog closer to him. Anybody wants to give a 214, I would recommend you hold on to it. You can send them to me later electronically or just copy it and email it to me if you wish. That is more for Aries purposes, because I do have a list of everybody that's going to be there. But if you want Jeff Walter and Sherwin and the rest of the people to know your activity as an Aries member, you're welcome to send your 214s. You should always fill out a 214 for yourself anyway, what you saw, what you did, just to CYA. Now, what should you bring? Well, bring your bow fangs, your any tones, the 000 machine, which is both the check-in net as well as the check-in net as well as the course net. It's going to be held on the same frequency. It's the citywide 000 machine. It is very reachable from the entire course. We do have a couple of backups, which you'll see on the 205. They're also reachable from the course. But as I said, primarily, once the regatta starts, we will primarily be using the P25 system with the ham radios as an alternate. If for some reason your P25 radio dies, or you somehow get it run over by a truck, please don't. Or something else untoward happens, the text horn goes down for some weird reason, which never has. You can always use the 000 machine to call NCS up at the command post, but primarily we'll be using SP11 once the check-ins happen. Check-ins are going to be on the 000 machine. So as you're coming in, you can call in as soon as we get the command post up and running. Kirk will start checking people in, finding out where you are. If you get lost, whatever, we can help you out with that. So spotters, we're having a new timing team this year. It is not the girls that were here last year that Sherry worked with. It is an entirely new team. That girl was not available, so we don't really know what to expect as far as how they're going to be tracking, how many people they're going to have on the course. Your primary job as a spotter is to watch for emergencies. I know it says that is to report the lead boat arrival at your position. Emergencies, overturned boats, injuries, collisions, and that takes priority over reporting when purple just went by Woodway. It's interesting for Amina and her shadow and the other coordinator, Trudy's shadow, to know, but they're going to be up to their butts in alligators anyway, Nacho. It'll be interesting information for them. So we ask that the lead boat, in other words, when the first paddler comes by you in the bayou, you look at the number and you say, for example, if you're at Woodway, this is Woodway, purple 214 just went by my position, lead boat. That's all you got to do. If you do have to report anything untoward, the word to clear the net is, let's take a page from the CERT manual, cactus. If there is an emergency, as I said, everything takes a back seat to an emergency. We are going to have a lot of emergency resources on the water this year. We're going to have, I believe, 8 or 9 sweep boats, and I believe 7 or 8 Texar and fire department rescue boats. And Texar is also going to have an aluminum boat at the finish line to head back up north, back west to do whatever needs to be done. Aluminum boats do not deflate. That's all I'm going to say about that. So,
Hey, Lee, this is Mark. Can I add something?
Absolutely, sir.
Sure. The start is staggered, as you know, with the different colored stickers. That's basically the staggered start. And it basically starts from roughly 9 o'clock until 9:30. So the request, because there is going to be traffic at the start, that there be no non-essential traffic outside of the start area from 9 to 9:30. Then after 9:30, any traffic can commence, just to keep things clear at the start, because
Absolutely.
there's a lot of chaos at that time.
Yes, and
And we
this
don't
is
want anybody talking over what may be going on at the start, because they're reporting a number, because somebody is going to go past the Voss location before everyone has started by 9:30.
and possibly even farther. So what I was going to say a little bit later was I was actually going to say something along those lines. We do not need Voss to call in lead boat. It's if the lead boat doesn't make it there, we've got a big problem. So we don't need to know the first boat. You're probably going to have a bunch of them. Farther point, probably the same thing. At Woodway, it'll be good to report, but at that point, everybody will be started. Here's the that what Mark was just talking about, all the different colors and the start times from 9 o'clock until 9:30. It is going to be Amina's job. Since she is shadowing the race director, she's going to be the only person allowed to talk, unless it's an emergency, at the start line. She is going to say, at 9 o'clock, when they shoot the gun, the race has started for non-competitors. At 9:10, she can make a report that the next group has left. Then the green group, 10 minutes later, the purple group, the yellow group, and the red group. The Performance Unlimited people, those are the fast private people. They put them last. So there will be a lot of chances for collisions and, get out of my way and little nudges and sometimes overturns. So it becomes interesting. Hopefully not dangerous interesting, but so the only person that can talk is if there's an emergency, which there probably won't be unless Amina's right there anyway, so she'll be calling it out. And until 9:30. So Texar's listening and they don't have any traffic from Hams, and so keep the chatter down to a minimum until 9:30. We get all the boats in the water. So what to
So
bring?
all the boats are in the water at about 9:40 or so, and then I'll be in the water. I'll be the official last boat, the turtle boat, or the broom boat as
Okay.
the
So why don't we?
from 9:40 on, then you'd see me tracking on the
Are you going to
on
be
the
in an
Bayou.
actual? Are you going to be in an actual boat?
Sure.
Okay, so you're not going to have a P25 radio.
No, I'm not.
Because I have been forbidden from putting any any $6,000 P25 radios.
No, and you don't want to, because
unless it's a pontoon.
I guarantee it'll find its way to the bottom of the bayou.
Right. Well, rather the radio than you, but you can still call everything in on the ham net, because your brooms, your sweeps, they're going to have the ham radios, so they can use the regular VHF course net.
Right. Well, we'll talk about the sweeps in a little bit. Let me let you get through this, but I thought that start was important.
Yes.
But at some point, let's break to talk about what we'll be looking for
Absolutely.
sweeps.
Well, as a matter of fact, since you're the turtle, we're just going to call you the turtle for all intents and purposes. Once you say you're started out on the ham net, that's when I will announce, or Kirk will announce, that all the boats have started, and from farther point on, you can start calling in the first boat that comes by you in the bayou. So what else to bring? Clipboard, we gave some out over the last couple of years. If you still have them, I don't know. Camping chair, jacket, a hat. It's supposed to be hot, hopefully. If you have a little cooler, bring some water. Sunglasses, Kleenex, umbrella. It's common sense. A rain jacket, one of your yellow reflective things. A yellow vest, reflective vest. I ask that you try to keep the hoo-ha on your identification as simple as possible. Don't no, we're not going to be reporting the broom boat, because he's going to be tracked. We're going to know where all the brooms and all the fire departments are going to be, Paul, which we'll get to that a little bit later. Sorry, Paul doesn't have audio, so I have to go by chat. If you do wear a vest with, Aries on it, try to keep no propellers on yellow hats. Let's try to look professional. This is not a Aries sponsored event. This is a Harris County Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security Oxcom sponsored event now. It's not sponsored by a club, and we are representing Transtar, Joey Clements, and the rest of the logistics place. So we want to try to look as professional as possible. Yellow vests are always welcome. Reflective is always good. Just try to keep the number of badges, and you know what I'm saying. And please don't take it as an insult, because I do the same thing sometimes. I cover myself in IDs and stuff. Know how to get to your assignment before you get to the event, to your spot. If you're at one of the spots, Chris, did you have a question, or are you just waving?
No, I actually hit that by accident, but I did. You were talking about the 205. Just out of curiosity, there was a mention in the sign up about GMRS. Is there going to be anything used on it at all?
I spoke to Dave, the guy that runs Texas GMRS Society, at the Hamfest a couple of weeks ago. He said all of his guys are coming. They all want to work. They all want to come. They all want to help out. Not a single one of them has signed up.
I'm just making sure because I've got my other GMRS Motorola. If I don't have to bring it, I'm not gonna bring it.
You won't need to use a GMRS radio, even if they do show up, because I'm not going to put them by themselves. They're going to be teamed up with ham members along the course. And
Gotcha.
there's going to be one person at each location that's going to be responsible for talking on the P25 radio. If they
Right.
want to bring the GMRS radios to talk amongst themselves quietly or whatever they want to do, that's fine. I don't have any problem with that, but we're not going to be monitoring nor recommending anybody use GMRS because they're not powerful enough to reach from anywhere near the start to anywhere near the finish. They're not reliable.
Yeah.
Very difficult for everybody to be on the same encryption, not encryption, PL tone or whatever. And if they show up, they show up. The beauty of using the P25 network, it doesn't matter what kind of radio license you have. It doesn't matter if you don't have a radio license at all. There are no call signs involved. We're operating under the state tax warrant system in the city of Houston and under Harris County, under their license. We don't need to identify ourselves with call signs, just tactical call signs.
I like that plan a lot.
As we get down to the 205, the basic communications protocol is going to be KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Love it.
Short transmissions, and especially if something goes wrong, please don't pontificate. I'm not pointing anybody out. The people that I know that like to talk on the radio a lot, besides myself, are not even in this meeting, but we all know who they are, where they get on and they just don't stop talking.
Well, no, this is a lot simpler. Lee. After working the marathon, it was more complicated than I could believe.
Well, after the Houston Marathon, I had a particular conversation with a gentleman that was working one of the, let's just say I didn't like the way he was doing something, and I stopped talking to him altogether and just switched to a different band and talked on P25 for the rest of the event.
Nice. Okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. We're just gonna leave that alone.
Leave it alone.
Not gonna mention any names.
Sure.
As I said, make sure you know how to get to your assignment. We will go over the satellite view of every single spot, and we'll show you because we have years of experience. If you need pictures, you can contact Kirk. Kirk has taken pictures of just about every spot over the years. You're going to use the ham repeater for the check-in net. Kirk is going to start that probably after we get the command post set up. We're getting there at 5 o'clock. Depending on how many people show up to help us, we'll probably have it set up by 6:30. And, we'll have portables with us. So people want to check in. We won't necessarily be writing you down because we don't have a place to write anything yet. But we will acknowledge you. If you have questions, we can answer you. The course net at when the race is about to start or everybody gets to their assigned location, we are not going to be using the ham radios unless, like I said, you can't use the P25 for some reason. Only one person at the location is to transmit two-net control. So if there are two people location and both of them happen to see the blue #1 boat go by, only one person is going to have the P25 radio to report it. So you guys will be able to work together. You're welcome to switch over halfway through. Say, hey, you handle the radio for the rest of the race, whatever. Now we're going to be using, as I said, there's going to be 3 P25 talk groups. We'll go over that in the 205. Communications protocol. We're going to report the first boat over P25 from each spotting location. York to net control. The lead boat just passed my position at whatever. You could say purple 123 lead boat just passed my position. No ham call signs. If you're using the VHF net, you have to use your call sign every 10 minutes or Riley Hollingsworth will jump out of the bushes and take your ham radio license away from you. Once again, it is a directed net. The emergency call is cactus, just like CERT teams. Cactus or clear the frequency means everybody shut up and listen for directions from net control or myself. Emergency traffic, as brief as possible. VOS to net control. Be advised, purple 176 capsized at my location needs assistance. Kirk will respond. Copy at VOS, purple 106. It won't be VOS because that's 30 feet from the start, but it could be because people bump into each other a lot in the beginning. Dominic, thank you for joining us, Dominic. I told everybody, can you hear me, Dom? Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, we'll get back to Dom in a minute. Where was I? Yes, once everybody gets to their checker positions, we're gonna put the ham radios on standby and start using the P25 net. As like I said, I wanna, before the race starts, if everybody gets to their positions between 8:30 and 8:45, I'm going to have net control do a sweep of everybody, make sure the radios are working. They're at their location, a radio check just to make sure it works. If anybody's missing, we have your telephone numbers. Please make sure you have your phones with you. We have the ham net. We'll try to call you by call sign to find you. If you can't find your way there, you're not prepared.
And
Even I can find my way around Houston, and I'm horrible at directions.
yeah, and
Correct, you were saying?
and as you move through the course, stations that are to be demobilized do not pack up and leave until net control has cleared you at your location, because I need to know whether or not you are gone, and in passing saying I'm gone ain't gonna help me.
And along with that, as I said, we have a moving map, which will show the location of all the sweep boats, all the fire department assets, all the EMS assets. And just because you see a boat that looks like a sweep go past your location, might not be the sweep. So once we see Mark, the turtle, head turtle, in a position where he's far enough past you, we will tell you to either demobilize and bring your radio to where it's supposed to go, or you're, like I said, you're always welcome to hopscotch to a few spots later, drop off your radio, or come to Allen's Landing for what's always a wonderful, wonderful lunch, snicker. Dominic, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. You're muted. Just give me a thumbs up. Is that a thumbs up?
Well, he's got a thumb inside of a finger, but it's pointed up.
Just
I'm here.
okay, good. You can mute. I just wanted to mention, I told before, but I was thinking of
See you
you.
later.
I was thinking of you a little bit earlier when I said, if you wear a yellow reflective vest, please don't bring any hats with propellers on them. I was thinking, he's laughing because he knows what I'm talking about. All right, let's move on. Parking location. There are parking locations at every spot. I will show them to you on the map. We don't really need to distribute parking passes to 95% of you. We're at Allen's Landing long before anybody's there to check parking passes. I've been doing this for 5 years now. I've never seen anybody even look for a parking pass. I will have them. Enough said about that. If anybody gives you any problem and you're wearing your propeller beanie and your yellow vest, anybody gives you any problem, contact Net Control. We'll find out what agency where they're from and speak to the guy in charge of their group in our trailer. Okay, so Allen's Landing, parking is going to be kind of limited all the way down where we are, because all the canoe rental places, they bring their trailers in there. A lot of people rent trailers, and all of them bring these giant racks to pick up the canoes at the end of the race. So as we get closer to the end, it gets a little bit crowded down there. You can park. There's the big parking lot up top and plenty of parking. If you want to come to Allen's Landing and the parking lot's full, you can find a spot. There's parking across the street. There's a parking garage within half a block, et cetera, et cetera. Like I said, feel free to join us for lunch after being released if you wish. As we said, Mark had mentioned earlier, the group starts at 9 o'clock. Last group starts at 9:30. We're using San Felipe, not San Jacinto, correct? It's San Felipe, right? Not San Jacinto.
San Felipe.
Yeah, I know. I always get them. I think it's called Felipe. I called it Felipe once and I got yelled at, but it's not.
Felipe.
It's not.
It's Felipe.
It's not San Jacinto. Because that's Houston Marathon. That's not. I always get them confused, so I apologize. 10-minute intervals. Last participant should be halfway by 11 a.m. That's an estimate. Finish line is under the Main Street Bridge at Allen's Landing, 14 miles. First fast guy usually shows up at 10:15, which is pretty fast. Now, another thing we watch out for is people that are not wearing PFDs, personal flotation devices. Coast Guard approved life jacket. The fast competitors use the tube Coast Guard style. Some people wear the ones with the pulls that inflate because they're not bulky. Some people wear the full orange Mae Wests. If you see a boat where people are not wearing PFDs, write down the boat number and write it down in your 214. And at some point you can report it to us. We'll work that out. We're more interested in safety than we are in reporting people. Don't talk to the people about it. If they violate the rules, if you see somebody getting aggressive, by all means, do not step in. Let us know. We have had fights in the past. I don't recommend anybody diving in to help out somebody who's getting beaten up. That's not our job.
Yeah, so once again, if you see them violating PPE, don't tell them, tell us. We'll take care of that.
And chances are that Mark's folks, between Mark's and Texar's boats, they'll see it. And they are authorized to tell them to put their life jackets on or they'll be disqualified. That's why Mark carries a solid iron paddle so he can knock them unconscious if they don't put their PFDs on. Any case, finish line tactical call is finish. Or net control. Tactical call at San Felipe is start. Communicate on a P25 or the tracking VHF net if you can't reach it on P25. Colored sticker, race number. Now, this is important. The stickers are on the right side of the boat, with two exceptions. All the spots are on the south side of the bayou, meaning the starboard side of the boat where the sticker is will be facing the south bank. There's two locations where that doesn't exist, and we'll get through that as we do the map. You don't have to track old boats. Argue with people. We've been asked sometimes after boats disappear and nobody can find them. Some people abandon them at Champagne Point. I don't know if people know what Champagne Point is, but it's a private home owned by an individual that's been providing a big party for everybody along the course. And a lot of people stop there for libations. And some people get back in and they start paddling in circles. So we'll leave it at
That's
that.
Mimosa
Point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Mimosa Point will be operating this year, and just be advised there will be inebriated boaters beyond that point. So,
It apparently used to be a much bigger problem than it has been over the last few years, at least that I've seen.
Yeah, and Mimosa Point is just upstream of Bayou Bend. So at the Bayou Bend Bridge, that's where you'll first see that kind of activity.
Right. And the Bayou Bend is also known as,
Bird Observatory.
no, what's the spotting location at Bayou Bend?
Here's the museum, the art museum. Here's museum of art that's where they have all the Americana stuff.
No, it's Westcott. Westcott is the pedestrian bridge that goes across from the sanctuary to the Bayou building and the parking lots. That's where PRS is going to be with his partner. We'll get to that, but that's called Westcott. That's where the bend is. And it's a good call because there is an actual bend there. So it's a good spot to spot people. You'll be up on the bridge. You'll be able to see them coming and going. Let's see. We already talked to Mark and he'll give his stuff. He's going to be Broom, and the sweep boats will be called Sweep. They'll be identified as Sweep 6 or Broom, as their job is to get people to move along and to watch out for emergencies, to help people, et cetera, et cetera. They know their job very well.
Let me interrupt at that point and just add a couple things to that.
Absolutely. It's your ball game.
So as Lee mentioned, yeah, there are sweep boats. They typically will have a safety boat sticker on the right-hand side and possibly the left-hand side. And because they are hard to see, we've had trouble having them identified. Sometimes the stickers are not there. We're issuing all the sweep boats and me a blaze orange swamp hat, and it'll say safety boat on the blaze orange swamp hat. So when you see that, it'll identify them as a sweep boat. And so when you see me, I'll have that. They don't have propellers on them. I didn't think of that until Lee
Oh.
just mentioned it. But they will help. That will help identify them to you, and they will be looking for you as a spotter to report anything that may occur. Because not only will they have a cell phone, but they also know that you're there, and it may be faster for them to report to you as a spotter that there's something going on, say upstream from their location. So not just visual contact, but also audio, yell at each other and say, "Hey, I see you, sweep boat," and the sweep boat will acknowledge the spotter.
I was close though, because mimosas are half champagne.
They are. This is true.
I could have called it orange juice.
And yeah, and we've requested that Mimosa Point shut down at 1 o'clock so that we can get everybody flushed down to the end. So sometimes that lags in the past, but yes, by the time they get to Bayou Bend to Westcott, many boats will have be weaving back and forth.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about communications protocols, I'm just going to go over briefly because I am going to be speaking to the communication lead team, Kirk, and myself. We've talked about this for months already. John has been through this several times. Sherry was with us last year. LTB, Luke, the Techstar Comms guy, has done this 1,000 times. Mark and Gabe and Jake and all the rest of the guys, they're going to have their own protocols for Techstar and the sweep boats and reporting stuff. But basically, this is how it works. In the trailer, communications trailer is going to be net control for us, net control for Techstar. The Sherry, WM5N, who's going to be in charge of everything having to do with tracking. She is going to be updating the live maps on the screens so that all of us know where the tracked resources are. And I'll have to have a private training session with her at some point so I can give a whole 10-minute explanation and passwords on how to get in and how to change different layers and stuff like that. And as well as the liaison for the emergency services. It's been a lieutenant from from Houston Comms. They have a new guy this year. I haven't spoken to him yet, but we have emailed back and forth so he knows where we're at and what our protocols are. The city requested a lot of safety information, I've been told, this year as opposed to previous years. So we basically, each one of our different groups has given them what our safety procedures are so they know. They did not know that we had a common GCI channel for emergencies to get everybody on the same page. They do now. Like I said, a lot of this stuff was last minute. But what happens is, say you are at Woodway, which is across the street from the takeout, in a parking garage, and you see a boat go underwater, and then you see somebody waving crazily for help. You say emergency traffic on the P25 radio. Say this is Woodway. I have a boat overturned in the water directly upstream or downstream of my position, and it looks like they could use help. That will go to net control and myself, and we will look at the map in conjunction with Luke, and we will determine what the closest asset is based on our tracking. So we will know where all the fire department boats, rescue boats, Techstar boats, sweep boats, and if necessary, everybody, we will know who the closest asset is. We try not to send people back upstream because then they have to weave through traffic with motors and it causes a whole bunch of wakes and people get all irritated when the wakes knock over their canoes. But that's how we operate. And we'll also have the fire department liaison there with EMS and police, who will also be able to see the map and see, where the call is in case EMS is needed. And he can dispatch EMS, fire department, or police department directly from his computer right in the communications in the command post with us. So that's
Lee,
how our stuff works.
Yeah, can I interrupt for just a second on
Absolutely.
that point? Okay. Yes, like you said, there's a fire department dispatcher at the end and liaison with the command trailer. in addition to that, we are linked to 911, so that if a participant dials 911 while they are on the course, there is a geofence around the entire course, so that if they dial 911 in that vicinity, that call is going to go directly to that dispatcher at the end of the race, and then he may get with Lee and his folk and see what assets are available from wherever that call is and where they're identified. So it's not only just y'all identifying it, but you may hear that a 911 call came in and that there is someone on the course and you may be the closest spotter to it, may be asked to just keep an eye out for something in that realm. But that asset is also available, and just be aware that a call could come in via 911 and something may happen in your area.
Right. And the Texar dispatch system run by Luke is going to be the primary emergency response on the water. So if something does come in on 911, Luke is going to speak to his people and they're going to assign the closest asset if it's a medical or whatever. If it's on land, it will be handled by fire department. We do report land injuries. Mike Lavender, may he rest in peace, used to work the bridge at the conservatory, and a woman fell down the stairs and gave herself a huge head injury, and she was unconscious. And Mike, provided first aid and called 911 through us. And she believes to this day that her life was saved by Mike. Unfortunately, Mike's no longer around, but he was quite the hero that day, and he was on a Jazzy at the time. So we do call in land-based emergencies as well. You might be on one bridge and somebody may get, if they're looking over their shoulder and they don't see somebody walking and they bump into such. So that stuff should be called in as well. It's all going to go to us, to go to the fire department and EMS to dispatch the same.
Hey, Lee, it's Luke.
Hi, Luke. It's Lee.
Texar Net Control, that phone number is Mark's number.
Okay, I wasn't given anything different from the last 3 or 4 years. You talking about the 832 number?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my number. Don't call me.
Okay. And that's the sweep safety boats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why it says that number for the sweep safeties. It should be for Texar. It should
Oh,
be.
it says cell calls to Texar Net Control are permitted, and then it's got Mark's phone number there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. No, that's
This is the same thing for the last 3 years. Nobody ever pointed that out to me.
Well, now you're getting the point.
yeah, and I didn't see that now either.
Yeah, no, that's been there. That's been in this plan for 3 years. The only thing I changed there is J card grid.
Yeah, well, you should have the Texar number there, obviously.
You're not. Yes, I unfortunately, since Trudy I decided to share it with Trudy yesterday. It's locked, and I can't change it without making a whole new copy for all of us. So, if you need to call Net Control, you just call us on the phone. My number is in there. It's down towards the bottom. Questions, 840-2663. That's my number. Just call us on the radio. Everybody that's in this meeting is going to have a radio to communicate with Net Control, and Net Control is sitting right next to Texas. So forget that telephone number. I will change it and upload a new copy at some point. I just can't do it now without making Trudy no longer be able to see it. Once again, in the start area, until the broom boat is in the water and gives us the signal over the VHF net or by phone that he's in the water and the whole race has started. At that point, everything is only emergency. Don't talk unless there's something you need to tell us in emergency. There may be more than 3 boats from Texar this year with swift water rescue personnel, and also Village Fire has a rescue boat that's being tracked as well. Texar does their own thing. They do an excellent job, and they've got lots of resources available. We will stay in place at the finish line, and all hands have been demobilized, released, and especially when all the radios have been removed. It may be 2:30, it may be earlier, it may be later. We usually stay later. We've had instances where people get lost, and sometimes the Texar or the sweeps or whoever with the motor has to go out and try to find them. There's alcohol involved sometimes as well. Common sense, don't abandon your post before you've been released. If you have a problem that you have to leave in an emergency, please call us ASAP on the text warn P25. Early release may be reassigned to a spot further on. Probably not, because we have enough coverage further on. But you're, like I said, you're always welcome to come to the finish line. They have a nice party there with a bunch of vendors and some interesting drinks and stuff. Anybody that can bring their radio directly back to Allen's Landing will be very appreciated, especially the people later on. Not the people at the first are going to have to leapfrog the radio so John doesn't kill himself trying to pick them all up, but those radios do have to come back. In an absolute emergency situation, if you need to leave and you're the only person there and you have P25 and you have to leave, we will figure out some way of getting the radio from you over the next, over the few days afterwards. I have some sway when it comes to when I need to return all the radios, as long as we get them back eventually. Food, water, coffee, command post, better each year, blah, 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 blah. PTB signups, anybody going for your Auxcom, RADO, ComL, ComT? I would suggest only Auxcom people at this point. If you need to get your book signed off, I provided a sample evaluation record form. You can print this out, put your name and all that, and any of the tasks that you perform during the event, put a little sticker or something where you want me to sign off on it, and either me or John or Sherry or Kirk, no, not Kirk, Kirk's got no training, he's useless, somebody up at the command post. Did he fall asleep? Kirk, you still there? Okay. We'll sign off your task books. We can all do that for you. Any Aries task books that you need to sign, if you're in District 1, you need to let Luke know. If you're in District 14, you need to let John Sawyer know, KD5U. And they will be more than happy to get you in the depot and click off your whatever tasks for Aries. Auxcom, like I said, I'm more than happy to sign people off. It's not rocket surgery or brain science, et cetera, et cetera. As I say, you folks, whenever most of you have worked events before, it's really common sense. We use a little bit more technology on this than this is necessary, because we want people to realize that even though 90% of what we do as ham radio volunteers or Auxcom people is all planned events, Houston Marathon, Woodlands, MS-150, bike-a-thons, marathons, Bayou is just a planned event. If we ever get deployed as radio operators for Harris County or for Montgomery County or for Waller County or any of these other District 1, District 14 groups, we're in a good position that we might actually have to operate on their radio systems and do it in a professional, clipped manner without using our call signs. So this way you get exposed to some newer technology, and it's more real life for what real life is going to present to you. Enough of that. So here's your evaluation. This is the organizational chart. Doesn't really make a difference at this point. You can read it. This is the 202. You can read this at your leisure. This is just basically what I have to present to Harris County and to the fire department, police department, and the Buffalo Bayou committees, so they know what our plans are. We have a safety plan, a 208. Read this at your leisure. The 205, this is the important one. This has not changed since I released it a week and a half ago on the Google page. I put that out first before the rest of this was finished. It's pretty simple. You should all have your radios. Anybody here in areas already has the 147-000 machine, because Northwest uses it on a regular basis. Most of the people down Galleria area use it on a regular basis. So WD5X is kind enough to give us a clear repeater for the entire day. And that's not only the support, but the actual course net on VHF. We've also got Wayne, WWW's K5QDG machine, which is a 14684 machine, as a spare. And you've gotten permission from him to use that as a backup. There's also Simplex. We can also use Simplex. You guys all know how to do this stuff. It's we can always coordinate. The important nets that we're going to be using are Tactical Net 5, which is SP1, which is the special event zone on the P25 radios. and SP Warren 2, which is going to be probably not used for anything. It's more of a, if I need to speak to Trudy or Tom Helm, I will speak to either Amina or Andrew and ask them to switch over to the next channel so I can talk to them privately without Everyham being in the middle of it. I mean, you guys are welcome to listen, but this way we don't tie up the regular net with traffic.
Hey, Lee, it's Luke.
Okay, Luke,
What zone is SP1?
that's SP Warren.
Yeah.
SP Warren, I mean, on my APX 8000, it's in the special event zone, but it could be in Warren, WARN. If it's a city radio, it's one thing. If it's a county radio, it's another. County radios generally don't have them. City
Okay.
radios do.
All
The
right.
cache that we're using from Transtar does. But generally, Harris County radios don't have it. You guys should have it, because any special event in the city of Houston, they use the Warren channels. And this way, it's only within the confines of the P25 network within the city of Houston and Harris County surrounding area. So
Wonder if
people up,
it's-
people up in Dillo or College Station aren't listening to us.
Yeah, I wonder if
GCI
that's 75.
What's that?
I wonder if that's zone 75.
No, SP Warren is completely separate from the zones. It's on a special zone called Warren or special events.
Okay.
At least that's how it is on them. We'll figure that out once they get the radios. I'm picking up the trailer probably on Wednesday or Thursday of this week, because they're not going to be around over the weekend, and I don't want to have to go down there to the warehouse and unlock the gate myself and be there by myself. For liability purposes, I'd rather be there when Weston or Joey's around, and this way, they know I'm not going in there and stealing anything.
Happy.
I'll take a look at the radios. I talked to Weston about them today. He's checking them all to make sure that all three of those channels are on the radios we're giving out. As far as Texar is concerned, we will have at least 2 radios in the command post. So, I mean, obviously Kirk's going to be using one, and the other one you can have on SP1, which it will have to listen to our net, but you're going to be right next to him. So, and as far as GCI 10, the Gulf Coast Interactive, I believe that's zone 77, the GCI channels, but you guys should have it because it's part of the NIFOG. And
Yeah, we definitely have it.
It does? Or you don't have it?
We do have
Okay,
77 GCI 10.
there you go. That's in zone 77. Also, Texar has their own frequencies, a regular and a backup. They do their own comms. I can get to them if necessary, but nobody else will be able to, as it should be, because Luke runs a tight ship. Talking is on channel 1 until you're on your ham radio until you get your post. Also on channel 1, when you get there and you're leaving after you've been dismissed on P25, you can say I'm, WA5LEE, I'm leaving on the ham radio. After 7:45 a.m., we're going to go to channel 2, which is the same as channel 1. So basically you don't have to change numbers, but monitor the same thing. That's the backup VHF net if P25 doesn't work. Channel 3 is, once again, in case something goes wrong with the 000 machine, probably will not. Radios need to be returned. P25, just use your tactical call only. No need to IDD with call signs. Ham channels, standard IDing protocol. Weather is on 162.4. I think it's channel 5 on a weather radio. Here's a sample 214 that you can print out to write your activities on. It's always a good idea to fill out your own stuff. 2 pages. And here's the class stickers, the start times, all in the comms package. Don't have to beat a dead horse. So, everybody knows what the assignments are at this point, I hope. They're on the Google Docs, BBR24 assignments. I just, as per Katie 5U, came up with a good point and asked if I could renumber it so it goes from start to finish, which I did a couple hours ago. So we're going to go over the radio situation here. But instead of doing that, I'm going to show you the map first. And if you want to follow along, you can click the link, which I'm about to put in. Chat again. This is a simple one. This doesn't have all the extra information, but this is good enough for you guys if you want to just follow along. That is the moving map that I'm about to display. So I'll give you a brief primer on how to use it. You can use it during the race. I recommend very strongly that you do. Let me make sure I got the right one here. Okay. Yes, there we go. This is Peter Belbin's labor of love. He has spent thousands and thousands of hours developing this system, and it is absolutely indispensable for a lot of our events. The first thing you're going to see is this page. It's probably going to give you a wide view. You can scroll in to go closer. You can scroll out. There's a plus button that you can click to zoom in, minus button you can click to zoom out. Okay. The LS button, that is layer selections. Let's get rid of everything and you'll see what you'll see.
Well,
I just got rid of everything. So right now, you don't see anybody, right? You don't see the course. You don't see the distances on the course. You don't see the spotting locations. You don't see the Texar. Texar is not there yet because they're not being tracked. You don't see anything. So text labels, I don't know why you still got that in there. That's from a different event. So if you hit the course button, now you see the course. Goes from left to right. Very simple, 14 miles. You want to see what the distances between the markers are. You can hit the distances. Now you see 8 is the only one you see at this level. The magic of this is if you zoom in, see now you've got 8, 4, 12. Zoom in more. You'll get 4, 6, 8. Zoom in even more, you get 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you get 4.5. I think that's as far as it goes. Oh, no, 4 3/4. So the closer you zoom in, the more exact your mile marker is. Okay? So let's get rid of the distance. Well, I'll leave it in there. Now, spotting locations. Boom. You obviously can't see all the names of them because we're zoomed out a little too far and they're all kind of sitting on top of each other. But from the beginning, we've got the start, Voss, and these are the tactical calls. Farther Point, Woodway, Westcott, Shepherd, Dunleavy, Montrose. A new location for this year from Milton is the PD Memorial. We just came up with this. This is a brand new spot. Sabine, Sesquicentennial. I can barely pronounce it. You can call yourself Sesqui. You can call yourself Sessi Park, whatever you want. You can even call yourselves highway pylons because that's where you're going to be.
Since I can't pronounce that either very well, can we call ourselves Sasquatch?
Absolutely.
Sasquatch. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, Sasquatch works. If it's okay with Kirk, it's okay with me because Kirk's net control.
With my tinnitus, I mishear things. Sasquatch I can pick out.
Yeah, Sasquatch, he'll probably hear a sesquicentennial anyway. Then there's Preston, and then there's us at the finish line. So we're going to go spot by spot. You can also put the Texar layers on. That's going to show you where all the Texar boats are. Now, trackers. Trackers can be divided into subcategories. If you hit the trackers button by itself under miscellaneous, you're going to get all the trackers. You're going to get everybody with a ham call sign that's pinging apers. You're gonna get all the hams that are working the course. You're gonna get the safety boats, the Texar group, and the Auxcom people working the course. So that's if you want to use trackers. We'll be using all the trackers at the command post, but we're going to use them this way. We're going to be watching the safety boats. We're going to be watching the Texar boats. We're watching the Auxcom boats. Those are the groups. So we will know where all the Auxcom people are, all of you. We will know where all the Texar people are. And we will know where Mark's wonderful group of people that are around. If you unclick it and you just do all the trackers, then you start seeing ham signs. Like you see a weather station for EW8324. And I think there's a no love guy at the start line. I don't know if he's still there.
No UVD back at the start line,
See
yeah.
if we can find him. Yep.
Yeah, Mr. No Love.
No Love D is hanging out just south of the start line. All right, so let's do spot by spot. And I'm going to make life easy. Instead of using this map, I'm just going to stop it. And I'm going to go to, you can see this on yours too, but it doesn't work as fast. So I'm going to use Google Earth. Because this is a more up-to-date view anyway. So, and I can get to the spots a little easier this way. So first we're going to go to the start. Let me just get my spotters, my geolocations. Okay, we're going to go to the starting line. And it flies us right there. So here's the starting line. They hang a banner underneath San Felipe Street. And generally in this area is where they start. Amina will be able to park across the street at San Felipe and follow Mark, the race director, around. It's very easy slope here. It's not hard to get to. And the races will go from south to north there. Then there's Voss. Now this is a bridge. Okay. Now there is parking for Voss right here at the nursing center.
Yeah.
You can park in this parking lot just south of the nursing center. It's a big church, that green roof, that's a big church. And since it's Saturday, they won't have a lot of people there. You can park anywhere in here and you can just walk right onto the bridge and or walk down along the side of the church, alongside of the nursing home. There's a path that goes right down to the water's edge and you can hang out right where this word Voss is. Depending on how, agile you are.
Yeah.
See, who do I have at Voss? I got Scott at Voss. He seems like a fairly young guy, so he shouldn't have any problem getting down there. It's one of the easiest posts. He gets to go home first.
I want to just warn, if anybody's parking, do not park at that nursing home. They tow quickly.
Really?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
say that again?
I've never seen a nursing home tow people that quick.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
so don't park in the nursing home. Park in the church parking lot.
Yeah, park in the church parking lot. That's
Yeah, and then you just walk right across their little driveway here and go right down to the water's edge. Really easy, or you can sit on the bridge. You get a much better view down here. You can bring a little chair with you and sit right at the water's edge and wave to everybody as they come around. Next spot is Farther Point, which is just a little bit farther down the course. You may wonder why there aren't any spots in all those loops, because there's no place for you to go. Okay, so here's the Farther Point Bridge.
there's
Okay,
basically a cul-de-sac at the end of that
Yes.
bridge.
under this big tree here, there's a cul-de-sac, there's parking, and you can walk right out onto the bridge. You may be able to get down to the water's edge, but I don't know. It was kind of overgrown the last couple of years that we looked at it. So I wouldn't recommend it. You could just be right on the bridge, bring your chair up there. This is not a busy bridge. So I'll leave it up to Randy. Randy's one of our net controls for Aries. He's a pretty young guy, so he shouldn't have a problem with that assignment.
Binoculars.
Yes, I recommend anybody who's going to be working a bridge to bring binoculars to see the boat numbers.
Well, just as a general rule, if you have binoculars, bring them. They're always handy.
Or if your eyesight sucks like mine, bring binoculars. Okay, so now Woodway. Woodway Bridge is interesting. Okay, because Woodway is one of the two locations where the parking and there's a canoe launch here, a kayak launch on the north bank.
It's also called the Woodway Takeout.
Yes, so well, that's what they call it, the Woodway Takeout. There's a bunch of crooked steps going down to the water, and they launch boats there and stuff like that. You won't see any sticker numbers if you're on that side. There's a parking lot a little further up here along that path. What you're going to want to do is you want to go to the law firm. This is a big parking lot. This is a 3-story parking lot right here. This position, you are going to need binoculars. There's nothing open on Saturday. We've never had a problem. We've gotten permission in the past. We don't ask for it anymore because nobody really cares. It's a 3-story parking garage. You are welcome to go up as high as you want. I don't know how overgrown these trees are at this point because they don't really give you that information, but that is really the best place to see it. Unless somehow you can make your way down to the waters. I don't believe there's a path. I wouldn't recommend it. Woodway is going to be one of the spots where people are going to be dropping off radios. So if you're in that parking lot there, they'll be able to find you easily. And I would recommend very strongly that you, use that parking lot. I don't think there's roof parking. There may be. If there is, I don't see any entrances. Oh yeah, maybe there is. Yeah, this looks like the right side kind of looks like a ramp. So you can come up from the lower level. So you might actually be able to, oh man, what's happening here?
You could go down to street level.
Well, it looks like a 3-story garage. We don't know. But hey, if you can get up on the roof, park right here and, you'll have a bird's eye view and a car to sit in while you're doing it. So Westcott. I personally think this is the best spot of all. If I had to choose a spot, because you've got the closest access, you got the closest bathrooms, and you actually get to interact with the general public going between the Bayou Museum and the gardens, the Bayou Gardens on the right side. So you come in through Westcott Road, which you kind of can't see it because it's under the trees here. But there's
Memorial at Westcott, yeah.
Yeah, it says Westcott Street. You're going to come in Westcott Street. Okay, we're actually going to go right down to the ground. And I'm going to show you how you come in and where you go. Because I know that this place happens to have a good street view. Okay, so here is the entrance that you're going to come in off of Westcott. The Buffalo Bayou Museum is behind those trees over there. You're going to go all the way down to the back of the parking lot. Okay, let's see where this takes us. Oh, perfect. And you're going to park. There's 2 handicap spots here. Let's see how well they mapped it. There it is.
There's a couple people
There's
walking the
parking
bridge.
spots right here. You see where all those happy, shiny people are right there? See if this gets us a little better. Yes, there we go. That is the bridge. And you get to interact with people. It takes you across to the gardens. There's bathrooms right at the gardens there. You just have to make sure that you make it to you stay on the south side of the bridge. So you could see, once again, the numbers of the boats.
May I make a comment?
Absolutely.
I've done that spot before. Standing on the bridge is very uncomfortable. The bridge is very narrow. People are passing by behind you, left and right, and bumping into you. There's no opportunity to sit down, and so it's just a very uncomfortable location.
Okay. Do you know if there's a different location at the other end of that bridge that might be easier to see the boats from?
I would imagine their answer is going to be the same that we got for any question given to them or presented to them about where can we observe the boats as they pass by.
Well, okay.
No,
quickly-
yeah, they would not let us be on the facility side of the Bayou,
Okay, well,
and so we had
that has
to
changed.
stand on the bridge.
No, you no longer have to do that. The Buffalo Bayou Partnership owns the entire facility. We have gotten permission directly from them. If the manager of this facility gives you a problem, you let us know immediately, and we will have Trudy call his cell phone and tell him to keep his mouth shut.
Oh,
We had a problem. We had a problem a couple of years ago with the gentleman that was there. They were doing some construction that they'd never even done after the damage caused by Harvey or Ike or something, and they were rebuilding something at the far end of the bridge on the right side, and they had it locked. And we actually had to go through, when I called them down there at the conservatory and asked for it to be open, they said, no, there's no way we can do that. You're not allowed to use our facilities. So I made a phone call to the Bayou office. Trudy called them, put him in his place, and from that point on, he was very welcome. He showed up at 6 o'clock in the morning, opened the gate himself for I think it was Mike Lavender that year with his Jazzy. And we're not going to have any problem. If anybody gives Paul PRS, I got him there along with Jason Springs. I don't believe I'm familiar with Jason. Is that Rabbit R1BBT? Is that you, Jason?
It's Ribbit, but yes.
Ribbit. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey,
Frog.
Lee, I can confirm that is open because I was there last year picking up a radio and helping out. So it's open.
Oh, I know it's open now. They finished the construction a year ago. We had no problem last year. I'm just not sure. I mean, looking at this, if you don't want to be on the bridge, I can't see why you couldn't bring a chair. Like right here, can you see the hand moving? I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see why you couldn't bring a chair and sit right here. If you don't want to sit on the bridge, just bring binoculars. As long as you're on the south side and you can see the boats coming by, that should be fine. And like I said, if anybody gives you any problems at all, you just call net control and we will take care of it with Trudy, because she got very, very upset when we had a hard time from that guy and she took care of business. Moving on to Domland, the man from Shepherd's Curve. He's going to be working the Shepherd Bridge. Okay. I've never been to this location. I do know that there is parking right here by Buffalo Park. There is no requirement. I think there might even be parking right on Shepherd Drive, because these cars, it might be traffic. I don't know. You could park anywhere in this parking lot, then just walk right across the street to Shepherd, and or you could actually go on the Shepherd Bridge. But I know that there is access here on this path because this is the running walking path. Any place at the curve here that you can just see the curve. You can be a little bit further down where there's less foliage. If this is up to date, use your judgment. You guys can split up and, within sight distance of each other. It's a very, very easy location to get to from what I've been told. Moving on to Dunleavy. Has anybody here worked Shepherd before? Can give some insight on that?
Well, I walked the area just this morning, and actually I found a spot about 200 yards downstream from the bridge that I could get down to about 5 feet above water level.
Perfect.
And it was had a good view of the upstream, or had a good upstream view. If you put yourself on it near a curve, just be prepared to be surprised, because they'll almost pass you before you know it.
Yeah, so going downstream may be a good idea. Well, you and Dom are going to be working together. So I don't know if you have each other's contact information, but it's on the assignment sheet. If you guys want to work out, where to meet. Dom, I believe, is going to be taking an Uber there because he's having some eye surgery in a couple weeks, and I don't think he wants to take a chance on driving. So he's being kind enough to either Uber or Lyft or whatever they have around here to get down there. So he'll meet with you, and then you guys can discuss either before or after logistics.
That part of Allen Parkway and Shepherd, there's no place to pull over and do that sort of thing that's going to be convenient. They're certainly going to have to take one of the side roads and then cross Allen Parkway in order to get to the Bayou side of Allen Parkway.
Okay. Well, maybe if you're going to be driving in, right? So
No, I'm going to be driving in, but I'm going to be parking well away from the area because there's not all that much parking around there.
Right. Well,
Lee,
go ahead. Dom.
Where you have your hand now, there's a good parking spot and walk in. Also too, in case of bad weather, there is on the overpass.
Well, that's Dunleavy. That's not Shepherd. Shepherd's back here.
Yeah, but there is a parking space there and we can walk in. I did that last year.
You mean by Orchard Park over here, these parking spots?
Yes, and you can walk in using the path along the bayou.
Okay, you just
That's what I did last year.
You'd have to cross Allen Parkway though.
No. Where you have the parking spot where Dunleavy dead ends into Allen Parkway. There's a parking lot there.
Oh, you mean to walk backwards, you mean?
Backwards, yes.
Oh, to walk back this direction.
Yes.
Well, I've already got people at Dunleavy. So
but what I'm saying is park there and walk in. Walk back to Shepherd.
Yeah, you don't have to be that close to Shepherd. You just have to be able to see this curve because I think there was Mark, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there just a subterranean congested bunch of sticks and rocks or something right near there that they were?
There's some flow. Well, I remember there's some flow issues right in that curve.
There is a couple of outfalls, storm outfalls, and if we have rain, it's not predicted that we'll have rain, but about 2 or 3 years back, we did have rain, and the water coming out of those outfalls was hitting the boaters as they were going by, and it was a hazard.
Yeah, so that's basically why we want
starting. People. Yeah, so Farther Point, Shepherd, and Voss are several locations where they have these outfalls, and they could affect the boaters if there is a recent storm and there's water coming out. But that's the main things in those areas as far as natural hazards.
Right. Well, between Shepherd and Dunleavy, we've got 4 people. So if you guys can spread yourselves out, that's fine too. Darryl Kirk is going to be at Dunleavy. He's familiar with it. He's been there before. And I think he's with Scott. I don't know if Scott has ever worked SSR, or is it 5SR? I forget your call sign, Scott. Oh, you're right there. Hi, Scott. Are you familiar with the area at all, Dunleavy?
No, but the thing is, you got the Flora restaurant right there. You just park in the restaurant parking lot and walk down.
Yeah,
the
you guys.
question I have is if we're separated by 100 yards along the bayou, you're really only going to get communication from the P25 with Darryl.
Yeah, but you guys can use your VHF radios to talk to each other on the net too.
We can talk to each other, but are we going to call? You said we.
No, I mean, what I'm saying is if you want to call, you're going to be with Darryl Kirk, and Dominic is going to be with his partner. They can talk to you guys They should be within talking distance or seeing distance of each other. If they're not, or you guys are not, you can always use, whoever doesn't have the P25 can always use the VHF to call in an emergency. Your spot here is just to watch out for people getting hurt or injured. So the VHF net will be monitored as well. So just make sure you have your ham radios as well as the two of you that have the P25s.
Understand.
You know, like I said, our biggest thing in this area is just to watch out for people that may hit hazards or something along those lines. Now, we used to call it Studemont. We call it Montrose now. I think it might be the Studemont Bridge, but we call it the Montrose location, which is right here. Once again, there's a dog park down here. There is all of these places around here where you can park and walk down.
There's parking. along the
There's
street.
parking right along the street
Alan.
here, right on Allen Parkway, I believe. There's spots. Yeah, parking. Buffalo Bayou parking. So just go to there, take one of the trails right down to the water, and keep an eye on this area, the Rosemont pedestrian bridge, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the responsibility for that. Now, the new one, and I don't believe either of the people that are going to be working it for this year, that we came up with yesterday, is the police department memorial, which is a new spot because there's a big curve here. And we've never had people watching it before. There is parking right here, right by the memorial. I believe there's parking under these trees and stuff. And one of you, Milton, has to be on one side. His partner needs to be on the other, just within shouting distance of each other. So one guy can watch this side, one guy can watch that side, just to make sure nobody gets into trouble around that curve, because it does thin out a little bit by Memorial Parkway over there and all that. So just watch out. That's a new spot, and it's a perfect viewing position that they decided yesterday. And there's Sabine, which is a Sabine
You're gonna run me out here in a minute. You're gonna go rain.
Sabine Street Bridge. Once again, another location where you can park up here, and then just walk right down to the water's edge and be close enough to see the water. Dom, are you muted? I'm going to mute you because I hear people talking. Yeah, so any place around here on the left of the Sabine Bridge, just watching this curve. Then we get down to the unpronounceable location.
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch is over here. Now, this is an interesting location because this is a concrete jungle under here. You're going to be underneath 45. And I don't remember who worked it last year. I'd have to look it up. But I know
Wes Clavey and I worked it several years ago.
Okay, where was a good place to park to get underneath where the pylons are down there?
We drove in and parked I don't know, we drove in from the west side and parked in the V and then walked across underneath. Right
Like
in
here where Memorial Drive.
right under here, I think. You can't see my arrow, can you?
No, I can't. You see where this says Memorial Drive?
Yeah.
There's parking all underneath here.
Yeah.
So any place you guys can so you can get to underneath this main part of I-45 by Memorial Park, just to watch people over here because it's not visible from any other locations, just around where it curves underneath the highway there. Anything that you guys can get down to that position, it should be easy. After that, we got Preston with an amusement park, apparently between the two of them.
Hey Lee, we're gonna go. Yeah, the amusement park is the Landry thing downtown.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna We're gonna go drive down to Sasquatch and make sure we can park where we think we can park before we go down there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, same thing with Preston. You could park right along Preston. I believe there's parking right there. And just take one of these little paths right down to the eastern edge of Sesquicentennial Park, just to be able to see like this general area and where it curves. Then we get to Sesquicentennial Park, which we did already. I think I've got these reversed. I do. And then we get down to the finish line, which is here. We will be, just so you know how to get in. Let me turn this a little bit. Okay, so this is McIntyre's. This is the old spaghetti factory. This is a parking garage over here, the Commerce Street building, in case for some reason you can't find a spot. When you go into McIntyre's parking lot, you go along the left side of the building, and there'll be a dumpster at the end of this entrance, and you make a right, and there's a ramp. You can see it kind of outlined in white that goes up a grade and then comes here, and then you can make a left. And we will not be where this red dot is. We will be right where the word finish is, because we got the trailer this year. So we're going to be parked right on the grassy knoll, right next to the water's edge, instead of up here in the parking lot. But there's lots of spots in the parking lot if you get there early enough. We are also going to have this gate open here.
Well, it's only going to be temporarily open for our trailer.
Yeah, they're going to unlock it for us. We may have to open it physically and then close it after we go through. I'd rather go in that way so I don't scrape the heck out of my hitch on that. Yeah, and just so you know, Joey Clements, head of logistics for Harris County, one of the most skilled operators and radio and trainers, and one of the most knowledgeable guys, actually got his operations truck hung up on that hill 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think you would call it wedged.
Wedged, yes. He high loaded it. So basically, he had two sets of tires up in the air and he couldn't go anywhere. Which is one of the reasons why they don't want us using the big truck. But then we got them to open up this fence so he could go in, and it still scrapes the bottom of their cabinets because it's a very low truck. So since it's in the shop anyway, we're not going to be using it this year. It's really overkill, except if we get a deluge. 3-4 years ago, I don't remember when it was.
About 4 years ago.
We were parked here with the trailer, which comfortably holds 3 people, not even really comfortably. We had 12 people in there because everybody went there. 10x10s went flying and 4 feet of water came off the bayou. Everybody came into the trailer and we had like 14.
Actually, it was 14.
Yeah. So let's just hope it doesn't rain.
Yeah,
And,
I think we got 4 inches of rain in 1 hour at that location.
It was horrendous.
Yeah, it was torrential.
So anyway, that's the finish line. We're going to be down there. The party is in Allen's Landing Park, all around that area. They have vendors, they have food, they have all kinds of stuff. They give away a bunch of goodies. And in case you're, you don't behave yourself, we just put you on a boat, bring you right across the river to the jail. And we leave you there. Just bear in mind, if you're a sightseer and you like wildlife in this general area between the Main Street and I would say, what is this, Travis? There's a alligator lives there.
Or we affectionately call Nacho.
His name is Nacho, and he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. So don't stay too close to the water's edge if you're walking around down there. That's it for that. Let's go to the real quick spotting locations and the assignments. So everybody knows we're on the same page. Hold on. And we are almost done. So these are the people that signed up. And they're from beginning to end listed correctly. P25 channel is SP11, emergency channel is SP12, and the tactical channel for interoperability is GCI 10. You guys don't need to worry about that. Person who should be holding on to the radio is outlined in purple. You guys can switch off. So this is how we're going to, and John, I need your feedback on this because you're ultimately going to be the guy to gather all the fruits and nuts of radios. Amina, Andrew, and John, Kirk, myself, anybody we're going to be at the command post. We're not going to have to return our radios anywhere because we're already there. So Voss is our first spot. So Scott Johnson will bring his radio to the Woodway parking garage. Randy will also go to the Woodway parking garage. Person who is at Woodway, who is Brandy and Jason, you guys can fight over the radio. I'm sorry, that's just Brandy at Woodway. On the parking garage. We'll gather the radios from the first two spots, along with her radio, and go to Montrose, which is not too far down the road, where Daniel Lewis is going to be. Shepherd, since Dom isn't going to be driving, Dale, if you'd be so kind, drive a mile or two, drop your radio off to Montrose as well. Daryl will take the radio from Scott and Daryl because he wants to come to the command post anyway, and he will probably either bring the radios to Montrose or he'll bring the radios directly to the finish line. And then Montrose is where John is going to meet a bunch of people. And then he can either travel the rest of the way to meet Sabine and Sesquicentennial and Preston, or PD people, Sabine, Sesquicentennial, and Preston will why did I make Sesquicentennial to Preston? And
I don't know
Sabine
because
to
it was the
finish.
next one.
So let's do this to
Yeah, I don't mind going to like Montrose and picking up a group of them, but we can work that out that day. As
Well,
long as
the reason
ahead.
I've got Milton returning the radio to the finish line is because he wants to come to the finish line after he's done.
that works, that's fine.
So that's one spot you won't have to worry about it. The Sabine and Sesquicentennial, Mark, Chris, and Henry, they can bring it to Preston. And then Preston, who's Rodney, will bring everything that he's gathered so far to the finish line. You can probably go to Montrose and get a group. And then all these other people will bring it to
Yeah, that should work fine. That should work fine.
Is that better for you?
Yeah, that works fine. Yeah, I don't mind. My original thoughts on some of the wording in the command, comms plan was it sounded like maybe I was going to be delivering radios also. Picking them up is a little bit easier after the event, but delivering them to different locations might be a challenge.
Yeah. I don't know how to work that out.
Well, historically, we all gathered at the Whataburger on Voss and San Felipe, and
we didn't do that last year. Last year, everybody went to the command post.
yeah.
So the question is that what everybody's doing this year?
I honestly, I've had 24 hours to think about it. So I don't really know what the best way of doing this is.
Yeah, I think it worked fine to have everybody come to collect the radio, pick up the radios from command post, any last minute information we needed to pass on to them for their specific assignment was usually gathered there. The radio, the clipboard, all that got sent out from there. And then they made their way back. Generally, I believe they all returned them to finish last time too. But
they some of them grouped them and brought some multiple ones in. But let's just do this. Let's just ask that everybody that possibly can make it to the finish line or to come to the command post in the morning to pick up their radio and get assigned their radio and any last minute assignments. And that if there's somebody that cannot make it to the command post in the morning, we could work out logistics to get a radio to them.
How about we pick a place in the middle that you can meet everybody?
We can do that too, but how many people plan on coming
I
to the
don't
meeting?
I don't want the people that are at Voss to have to drive 14 miles to us and then 14 miles back to Voss to be at their location. Because a lot of the people in the beginning specifically requested an early release because they have things to do. So that's why I put them in these in the first spots.
Okay.
They live the farthest away from the command post. So having them drive to past their spot and then another 14 miles to the command post is just going to add some length to their trip that they didn't really want to do. I mean, you're technically, as far as I'm concerned, you're in charge. You're the guy that's going to be in charge of telling people where to pick them up, where to drop them off, and to make sure that everybody's accountable for them. And I totally trust you to do that. I'm more than happy to make it a rule, but as far as I'm concerned, you're the boss of the tech. So you want to make it a rule, you want to tell everybody to show up wherever, that's fine.
Well, at the end of the day, we're all volunteers and we're trying to accommodate the volunteers as well, right?
Yes.
So I want to be, I understand that. I want to be sensitive to that. And I want to help out with that.
Right.
And so I don't want to make it overly burdensome. It worked great last year with everybody coming and pick them up. But at the same time, you bring up a very good point that some folks will have to drive quite a ways. And so I don't mind us, meeting somewhere at 7 a.m. with some radios, but we need to know who's coming in and who's not coming in.
Well, we also have another option. Since I'm picking up the radios and the trailer on Wednesday, I can meet with Kirk or you somewhere near the TransStar warehouse and give either you or him all the radios we're not going to need at the command post. Or I can have people meet me up here Thursday or Friday and I can give them their radios in Tomball. It really depends where the people are willing to drive to, or where they want to drive to. Like I said, you can pick it up Thursday, pick it up Friday, or you can come to the command post on Saturday, or you can go, if you're willing to go to Montrose to meet everybody at the midway point.
Okay, we have 15 folks on this call right now. Who else not going to make it to the command post in the morning or can't make it?
Well, we don't need two from every location. We just need one person from every location.
That's true.
So, I mean, Scott, who's at Voss, Amina is going to be going to the start line. She's got to pass right by him. So technically, she could drop off his radio. She could also drop off Randy's at Farther Point because it's right on the way to the start line. Are you amenable to that, Amina? You're muted.
She's unmuted. There she is.
Whatever it takes.
That's the spirit.
Well, I mean,
This is-
exactly.
This is
Good.
Brandy. Scott and I are probably going to be riding together too. So we're only going to have, if that works, we're only going to have one vehicle. So I might
Okay.
not be able to make it to pick up the radio either.
Well, you're at Woodway, right?
Yes,
And Scott's at Voss.
right.
Okay, so technically, is Scott going to be able to come up to the command post to pick up stuff, or I'm just trying to see what easiest way.
The other question is, can everybody meet me at one central location at say 7 a.m?
I mean, well, yeah, would everybody be okay meeting at, instead of breakfast, meeting at Montrose at 7:30 in the morning to get the radios?
Hey, Lee.
Yes, sir.
Okay, question and a thought here on this, because I'm looking at the map and where I'm coming from on Saturday. Is there any way because the other person behind me is going to be at work and he's going to be gone Friday night, but is there any way for somebody to meet me, say Thursday afternoon or evening closer to the west end, and I can pick up the radios? Because literally 90% of these drop-off points, we're going to pass when we leave Saturday morning to come downtown.
Yeah, but are the other people going to be there when you pass them by?
That's a good question. Yeah.
You know,
I'm gonna say we're gonna pass all the San Felipe, Voss ones, the Woodway, the Montrose, all of those coming into downtown.
right?
Yeah.
What do you think, John?
What do I think it's okay for him to pick up radios and pass them out as he drives by him? Yeah, but the question is, are people going to be around? it's going to be at the locations.
Well,
And I'm, to be honest, I'm happy to help, but I don't know if I want to be trying to find these. I'm not the best direction finder. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I
exactly.
want to be trying to.
Let's uncomplicate this. Everybody meets at some location, and I'll compromise and say it's going to be at, say, Montrose at 7 o'clock. And we'll have the radios. Does that work?
I think Montrose is an easy location for everybody to meet. It's in the middle.
that's why I kind of picked that as the radio collection point. Okay, I mean, if that's not okay with some people, you want to make special arrangements to meet me if you're near Tomball, or I can, you know, I mean, Kirk's not, I'm not going to be near Kirk, so I can't give him any radios to give out, but he works in Houston. So it's really more of a logistical pain in the ass to do it that way. So I'm going to have to ask that people, you know, make a little bit of a sacrifice and meet at Montrose and meet John.
Because it sounds to me like not everybody's going to make it to the command post like they did last year. So let's say Montrose. It's a little bit easier for everybody, right?
I would think so. I mean, but I'm you know, I'm just trying to think of how many people are going to hate me when this is all over. The list grows. The list grows every year.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you're just adding the list. It won't, one more won't hurt. So what I could do, Lee, is I could pick up the radios from you early. I can stop by your house and pick them up early.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could just plan on meeting everybody at a central location, Montrose, for them to pick up their radios at, say, 7.
Fine with me.
Yeah, that works.
Let's see. Anything else people have asked in chat? Let me just look at it real quick. Any other events going on downtown? Not that we are aware of. The police was that the Susan Komen thing, and I don't believe that's happening this Saturday. And that's Chris looked at the city events, nothing. Westcott, same thing. Go to the finish line. Jason's going to come to the finish line so he can bring radios if needed. Westcott's radio from me and Tomball. Okay, Paul's going to get his radio from me because Paul is relatively close to me, so he can meet me for Westcott's radio. And this way, Paul and Jason don't have to come up, or they can come to Montrose and meet John.
Hey, Lee,
Well,
Luke,
Go ahead, Luke.
does the guy at Montrose not need a radio?
No, guy at Montrose needs a radio.
Well, he's not in pink.
He's the only guy there.
But put them in pink.
Put him in pink.
You think he'd be pretty in pink?
Yeah.
I'm gonna even make him a brighter shade of pink.
There you go. Now you're talking.
I'm gonna show just how important he is.
Okay, so so do we have a plan, Lee, that I'll meet everybody there?
I think that everybody should meet between 6:45 and 7 o'clock at Montrose to get their radios. Unless there's a special circumstance, you guys know how to reach me and we could work out something.
Where precisely is at Montrose?
I will show you.
Over there.
Montrose.
One Zoom. I like that.
Montrose is right at the intersection of Montrose Boulevard and Allen Parkway. There's a parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just show you the map real quick. So I can take a screenshot of this and put a marker on it. Okay. So this apparently here, there is parking right here, right in the center of the screen. You see the line of cars parked right here? Right by the walkway going to Montrose, down to the water's edge. There's parking right here.
So we'll be in that parking lot.
It's not even a lot. I think it's just side of the road parking.
Parking strip.
Here, let me annotate it. If I could find my annotation.
Lee, have you ever parked there? I
No.
did. And I have, and you are lucky to find a slot, one slot.
You're gonna be there at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. Nobody's gonna be there.
Okay, there are runners out.
I hope you're right, Lee.
Okay, everybody's gonna have the talk in on their ham radio, correct?
Yep.
So,
Roger.
you know, between 6:45 and 7 o'clock in the morning, I don't personally know if there's gonna be people parked there. I don't know if there's parking down here. There may well be parking in this area. I do not know. I've never done Montrose. There's
I don't,
parking-
Lee,
there's
I
parking
don't
here.
think there's parking down there. The year that I was at Montrose was my spot. I got there right after we left the Whataburger, and there were not many people, but they also had the Susan Komen run, and they were basically blocking it off.
Yeah.
But the officer said, yeah, if you're not going to be moving in and out or driving down, you can park there. And after opened it up for the Susan Komen run, Dale's correct. It gets real full, you know, a little later. But
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
To look over at Waugh Drive and D'Amico, and those are two parking lots for a large shopping center. It's not a mall, I don't think, but it's. I remember there's a large grocery store there.
Yeah, I see the parking lot. I agree. It'd be easier to say let's meet in that parking lot.
Where, down here?
Yeah, down
off of Waugh Drive.
I don't know where Waugh Drive is.
It's to the left of Montrose.
Yeah.
Down
I
here?
think that's a good point. Let's see if we can get to a parking lot with a like a location, like a store or something.
Okay. Well, this looks like you've got a row of taxpayers. I'm sorry, single story shopping here. And bigger store parking across the street.
Yeah, I think at that time in the morning, it's that parking lot's going to be relatively empty.
Okay, Lee, I'll get back with you on the location, but
and I'll send it out as a notification to everybody once we get it.
Just check to make sure with Susan Komen, with the Susan Komen run, it is not scheduled till October this year.
I am positive that Susan Komen is not going to be next weekend.
Yeah, it's in October. I just wanted the date for it.
So I'll plan on meeting somebody at a parking lot round in that area, and I will we'll pinpoint it exactly where it is, and we'll use the talk-in net if anybody has any trouble finding it to pass out radios.
Okay, so why don't we do this?
Works for me.
Let's do this parking lot right here. This looks like a nice big parking lot. Does that work?
It works for me. I was just trying to figure out what the what the business was in there, and that way you could give somebody an actual name of a business and an address.
Oh, the building to the right of the parking lot is a grocery store.
Right.
I've forgotten the name of it, but
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods.
yeah, that's what it is. Whole Foods.
Since I don't live on that part of town anymore, I was trying to figure out what it was. But yeah, Whole Foods, perfect. We'll meet at the Whole Foods parking lot at 6:40, between 6:45 and 7:30, and I'll be there early, and we'll be passing out radios.
No.
Works for me.
Does that work for you, Comty or Comel?
I am perfectly fine. I'm going to be up to my ass in alligators to command post setting everything up while you guys are doing this. So in all honesty, I trust your judgment. Let me,
well, if I can swing it, I'll be helping you set up, and then I'll swing back down there. But I want to pick up the radios early from you, just in case something, comes up.
okay, hang on one second. Let me go back to my annotation here. Shit.
701 Waugh Drive. Oh, the address is 701 Waugh Drive for Whole Foods.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So anybody, anybody that has to meet me there that's on this call, are you guys okay with that?
There we go.
Be okay.
Works for me.
Works for us.
Good.
I need to make it yellow so it shows up maybe, or black so it shows up. I don't know how to do a background on this thing.
Okay, well, we can figure that out, but,
There we go.
but you'll send out a notification on that to the team, right, Lee?
Yep.
Yeah. And the people that should be picking up a P25 radio, they know who they are, right?
I don't know. I didn't take attendance. I don't know if everybody that's
No, I meant
on
this,
this.
well, I meant that's on the sign up sheet. They know that they're supposed to get a P25 radio, right?
Well, they should, considering
Yeah.
I just did that like the last 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, so I'm just suggesting that, they should know, and they should be the ones that know to come pick it up.
And if anybody's not familiar with that part of town, that Whole Food store is kind of hidden in the shadows by the AIG building. It sits back. So just, you kind of have to pay attention to where you are when you get down there.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't open till 7, so.
Okay, I'm just gonna make I need the address, so give me 1 second. Let me turn my
701 Wall Drive.
annotation. Hold on. I'm in a different program now, so I gotta
Got you.
kind of. And what's the address?
701 Wall Drive.
Wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wah, wah.
Whole Foods?
Whole Foods. Yes.
Okay.
And
I
that
will-
highlights next to it is AIG, so that'll give people kind of a landmark.
Save as a JPEG. And I'm going to put it in Buffalo Bayou. Online documents, if I can find the damn folder at this point. New file upload. And we're going to Dropbox Buffalo Bayou 2024.
And Lee, and you'll let me know when I can come pick up the radios.
When are you free? Like I said, I'm going to pick them up on Wednesday.
Yeah, okay. Just let me know when you got them.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
I'll pick them up Wednesday or Thursday or Friday.
Radio pickup. JPG. And let me go to my online documents here and radio pickup. JPG. Okay. There's now a picture in the folder shared to everybody called radio pickup.jpg that has the address and the picture. The last thing I want to go over with everybody, I don't know if I'm still sharing or not, but I'm going to stop. And I want to go over the tracker information. Now, everybody that signed up is on, I'm going to share my main screen so I can show you how I've got it that we have to do here. Let's see. I'm going to show screen.
Hey, Lee, are there going to be any kind of tables or anything out at the post or not?
When you say tables, and what post are we talking about? I'm sorry.
Like where I'm going to be at Sasquatch, is there going to be or can I can take like a folding table with me, can't I?
You can take whatever you want. Just bear in mind, I believe last year, a DJ set up under there and was blasting Spanish music across the other side of the bayou. And it was kind of hard to hear the people on the radio.
Don't worry, I got friends at Centerpoint. We can take care of that problem.
There you go. Okay, so here, this is the track car information. For those of you that never used it before, you need to download the track car client on your phone. And it will be for Mac, for iPad, iPhone, and for Google Android. Download it. And this is also in the folder. And I think Mark left, but I'd already spoken to him about this. instead of my ID for a device identifier, use the telephone number you signed up with. And where you see that is here. So far, these people, you see how the numbers are in here? Can you guys see the tracker sheet now? Are you looking at the tracker sheet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you see how the telephone numbers are all in there? Number dash 4 numbers. That's the way you have to put your phone number in there, just like that, because that's how I'm translating everybody's number that they signed up with. No 1480, no parentheses. It's just going to be, this is the way I'm going to translate everything across. So if you use that, then you will be tracked on the map as a Oxcom person. The rescue boats need to be done by Luke's Texar team. The sweeps, Mark already put them in there. So any case, that's how that works. So for your tracker, you would put your device identifier as your number just in that format that I just showed you. The server URL is http://trackcar.ertrack.uk. There's no number at the end. There's no port. There's no HTTPS. It's not secure. Location accuracy high. If you are a moving asset, if you're on a boat, if you're running around like Amina or brain fart, Andrew, following around somebody, if you are a sweep boat, a broom boat, anybody that needs to be tracked at all times when they're moving, you put your frequency down as 5 seconds. So it's going to update your location every 5 seconds. If you're sitting at one spot, you can set your frequency to 30. Everybody should have distance as 10. What distance is if your frequency is high. In other words, if you only ping once every 2 minutes, you can put down 120 for your ping time. But you move that distance, it will ping. So in other words, if you move 10 feet, even if you're only scheduled to ping every 2 minutes, it will ping every 10 feet you move. So that's how that works.
I think they're meters.
What's that?
I think they're meters.
Are they?
Yeah, I think it's meters.
Yeah, could be. So the frequency is the most important thing. 5 if you're moving around a lot, 30 if you're not. And online buffering should be off. There's one other thing on Android phones, which I'm not exactly 100% sure what it is, but I think it has to do with you have to allow it location accuracy, and you have to make sure it stays open if you're not watching it. And keep the app operating. I've had mine running 24/7 for the last 2 years, as has Kirk, and we've never had any problems with it for all the different events, and we still show up. And that's it. I'm going to stop sharing unless there's anything else I could think of here. We went through all this stuff. Yes. Okay. I'm going to stop screen sharing. I'm going to take a look at chat one more time just to see if there's anyone watching the chat screen. Westcott will be a shorter drive for those coming from the west and Montrose. I'll get you radios from Lee if you wish. Rodney said good night. Okay. Paul said he's going to come and pick up radios from me. I will distribute radios to Paul, who's going to distribute them to certain people, and I will give John the rest because Paul doesn't want to drive long distance, and he lives right near me. I will take care of on Wednesday after I get them home. I'll meet him at I think he said Burger King or something, and I'll give him the radios for his location and write it down that he's got them.
Yeah, please write it down. He's got him. Also, please write down who he's planning on giving them to as well.
Oh, you better believe it. I'm responsible for these radios. There's no way I'm not going to let. I'm not going to know exactly who has every single radio.
Well, yeah, I just want to make sure that we're tracking who's got them and who needs them and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
You know, so that's I'll when I pick it up from you, then I'll get that from you.
Yep. Just remember, we need to keep 1 for you, 2 for the command post. So,
Lee?
yes.
I have a question. On in the chat there, you have the URL for the map. I don't think you need the question ignore B box equal true, but I
That's
don't
what
know.
Peter told me to give out tonight for testing purposes.
Yeah, okay, that's for test.
He says he does not recommend you use that URL during the event. Just
Yeah,
all the bebop at the end, forget about.
The TrackR has a box that it looks at, and during the for the test, it's a much bigger box, and so that you can test it even if you're not in the area of operation. But you don't want that. You don't want that during the area during the operation. But my question is, to see that map, on the TrackR, there's a box that is question mark.
Yes.
And you have to put in a user ID and a password that changes with every event. So my question is, what is the user ID and the password for this event?
You do not need one for this. We only have 2 hidden layers, and nobody on the course or nobody anywhere is going to need to see them except for me and Peter. It's for emergency purposes in case we need to add somebody or something like that. There's no password needed. Sherry might get one because she might have to change certain things, but I doubt it. We kept it simple. A lot of the passwords are in there for the MS-150 because there's like 18 or 19 different layers. The Buffalo Bayou Regatta only has 3 real things, 3 real assets it's tracking. So he didn't set it up with a password only for himself because he has a master once he can change things, obviously. Myself, so I can get the database into him, and that's pretty much it. So you're not missing anything that anybody else. And yes, I see what you're talking about with the expanded thing. He says, here's the link that people can use for testing. The bit at the end expands the coverage area for testing. Instead of during the event, you get rid of the ignore B box true and all that stuff. You just get rid of that and just use BB Regatta at the end of the URL. Data needs will be reduced for the people using the map when you use the shorter URL. We will be using the bigger one up at the command post for Sherry because she needs to have as much data in as possible. She needs to be able to search people's tactical call signs and do stuff like that. But everybody, you don't have to worry about logging into this. We're not hiding anything from anybody this year. We never have for the Bayou. So, all right, questions and answers. We got Scott. I hope I answered your question good for you, Mr. Reeve. Amina, I know you've been chomping a little bit, so.
Yeah, okay, may I pick up my radio from you at the command post?
Yeah.
Anybody who's coming to the command post, let me know. My number, my telephone number, you know my number. Anybody who will come to the command post to pick up their radios and is promising you come to the command post to get their radios, please text me or email me, and I will reserve that number of radios. But if you tell me you're coming down there, make sure you come down there. Because if I have the radios that John needs to hand out out west, that's not going to do anybody any good.
Okay, well, is that, I mean, because isn't that where, like, the gentleman that I'm shadowing, he kind of doesn't like to be smothered, right?
Right.
I wouldn't say he doesn't like to be smothered. He doesn't see the need for communication.
He likes you to keep your distance.
Yeah, I mean, if you need to tell him something, I'll let you know what to tell him.
Right.
If you're near enough to him and he asks you something, like, can you tell me where the lead boat is? By all means, call us. We will tell you where the lead boat is. He might ask where the sweep is, the turtle. By all means, call us and find out, or just look on the map. If you've got it on your phone, you'll see where the movement is. He doesn't need a lot of hand-holding. After the start, he usually comes straight to the finish line. He's probably just going to forget that you're there and not take you with him, because he did that to KJ one year. Just left him sitting there in the parking lot.
He did that with me as well. I shouted him one year before last, and essentially you know, it works fine if you just keep your distance, but you pass information to him that the command post asks you to pass to him, and you answer questions through the command post if he asks questions.
Right.
And just keep a distance, and then he's gonna glad hand everybody and say hi to everybody, and you just kind of stay off to the side, and then he's gonna probably just jet and see you back at the command post.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, for the most part, like I need to come to the command post maybe, and then like I'll be at the start line for this.
Well, that's why I was
call.
saying, unless you want to come help us set up and have coffee and donuts, you might as well just go meet John at that middle area and pick up your radio and then go right to the start line because it's a shorter drive.
Well, Amina, have you met this guy before? Have you done this shadow with him before?
I think I've seen him, but I don't.
He always wears a hat. It'll probably say race director because I made him one because nobody ever knew who he was. He's bald or balding. A youngish guy. He's got a chubby face. He's a little on the short side.
And about halfway through the race, he's drunk.
He's going to be the guy shaking hands with everybody.
Where am I going to meet him at?
We will find him. I have his telephone number. I'll call him and tell him where you are, or I'll call you and tell you where he is.
Okay.
One way or the other. Like I said, if he had his way, he probably wouldn't say he needs a ham radio guy at all, because several times he's ducked them or he disappears. But the problem is he doesn't answer his phone half the time because he can't hear it with all the shouting and yelling and everything. He is, for all intents and purposes, he's the IC. He's the incident commander. If we need to make a call for weather, or we need to stop the race, or we get a terrorist act or something, he's the guy it's going to fall upon to make the decision on what technically to do. I'm not taking that responsibility because I haven't been named the IC. Texar's not taking that responsibility because they don't want that liability.
Yeah.
So we have to have communication with the guy that's the incident commander, whether he likes it.
And you also will be the one that carrying the information to the command post about when the actual boats start, when it starts, and with the next boats go, the next boats after that, because you'll be right there at the start.
Right. So even if you can't find him at the start line, be close enough to the guy with the gun, the starter pistol, that starts them, and you can tell us if, once the race starts, you can let us know. It'll be right at the stroke of 9 o'clock. You can just say, all right, the race has started, boom. And then once everybody has gotten in the water and the sweep boat's in the water, since he's not going to have a P25 radio, you could say the turtle sweep is in the water. I'm returning to the command post. Then you come back, and once you get back to us at the command post, we will find you, Tom.
Who shadowed him?
Make sense?
Lee, do you remember who shadowed him last year?
Nobody, because I remember because they kept it was my first time doing it, and they kept calling for the person I was with kept calling for him, and you said he said he didn't want anybody with him, so.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording here because I'm gonna go a little off the record. So let me stop recording.